Now, first up, I want to quickly say that I know I promised to take you back to Sweden this week. All that ice driving, well, don't worry, we're saving that for you because there's just too much happening in our market that I simply can't pass up. And I know all of you want details on all these new products that are driving in. So we're going to take you through all of that. First up, we've got a product that's right there behind me. In fact, we've got two examples of it, the 2-litre and the 2.4-litre Honda CR-V. Now, that's the fourth generation of the CR-V. Used to be very popular. It's driving back in a new avatar. So is it just as good? Well, first up, I can tell you there is no diesel, but we will drive both the petrol engines and take you through prices and all the details now. This is the new fourth generation of the CR-V range. For several years, the Honda CR-V was considered the most aspirational SUV in India. But many seasons have passed since, and others like the Toyota Fortuner and Hyundai Santa Fe have become a little bit more popular. Don't forget, they have diesel engines too. Now Honda is back with the latest CR-V to take on those rivals, and this car is more SUV than crossover. It's closer to full size than the previous compact, and so gets closer to the rivals in most aspects. But it is petrol powered, unlike the others, as I said, which are diesel. The specs read generously enough, and Honda wants to rely on the slight return to petrol that we are seeing in the market to pull this one through. This variant is a two-wheel drive with manual and automatic options. There is another engine on offer too, which is bigger and more powerful, but this one comes mated to an automatic gearbox and has four-wheel drive standard. The car drives well. I especially like the handling, even though a very slight roll has crept in at higher speeds. It's quick and athletic enough though. Now, the good thing about this particular version, which is the manual, is that 6-speed transmission, but it is really sporty and fun. It's a lot more engaging, and frankly, you can't really tell the two engines that much apart. I mean, I know that the other one's a lot bigger, it's 2.4-litre, has a higher output, but that's the point I'm making, that even this one, the 2-litre, because of this gearbox, just comes alive, and I think it's eventually the more fun to drive of the two variants on the CR-V. Yes, the gears are notchy and the response is pretty good. The car feels plush enough in terms of its interiors and is sporty enough too. So between the manual and the automatic, this one should be the one to look at. But don't get me wrong, it's not all bad. It's still pretty sporty because on the automatic, you get paddle shift. Yes, the paddle shifters are fun, and downshifts in particular are pretty fast and responsive. But on the whole, a 6-speed automatic would have suited this engine more, or in fact a CVT. It is kind of unfortunate that Honda didn't bring us the 5-speed CVT that markets like the United Kingdom get. And the CVT could have also made the car a little bit more fuel efficient, though more expensive too. What's weird is that Honda does have a diesel variant for the CR-V in those markets too, but that 2.2-litre ID.Tech engine isn't coming to us. Honda hopes that the recent reacceptance of sorts for petrol cars in India will be enough to get this one going. The 2.4-litre engine is reasonably efficient for a vehicle that size, while the 2-litre is marginally better. In fact, press this green Econ button and everything from throttle response to gear changes allow for better fuel efficiency. There is a little green indicator on the instruments shaped like a little leaf stalk that also lights up, and when the car is achieving the most efficient output, the whole instrument cluster also changes from white to green lighting. There is one top-of-the-line variant on the 2.4 automatic which sports the touchscreen audio-video system along with built-in navigation. So this is the way things are priced. That particular variant is 23,85,000 rupees. The 2.4-litre auto without those functions comes in at 22,40,000 rupees. The 2-litre auto is priced at 20,85,000 rupees, while the manual is for 19,95,000 rupees. All these prices are ex-showroom Delhi. The interiors on the car are ample and buyers in the space will like them. I'm especially glad not to see the beige overkill that we used to seeing these days. The car is plush and spacious. The backseat in particular is quite comfy too. In fact, speaking of those back seats, they fold shut to offer more space, and it's very easily done. Two ways to do that. Reach in from the rear door by pulling this grey tab, and voila, the seat folds itself shut. And if you want to do it from the rear while loading in some cargo, it's this lever, one on each side, that does the job for you. Very neat indeed. The car also has the necessary Bluetooth, USB and electric points that one now expects. It also has 6 airbags, 17-inch alloy wheels and fog lights. The 2.4 litre has a sunroof too. Now the old CR-V, the car that's on its way out, was always very pretty, and in fact that design, if you'd ask me, is still fairly contemporary. So how do you take something like that which is so popular and then come up with a new version? Well, that's what Honda has tried to do with this particular design, and you know what, it actually looks like that car kind of grew up. It looks like that car got a shot of testosterone, because this looks a little bit more masculine. It's got bolder, wider proportions. It looks bigger too, and in the face of it you see a nice bold use of chrome. The car will definitely catch a lot of attention as it drives by. The headlamp cluster also sort of boomerang shaped over here. It looks interesting, and all very contemporary, looks grown up as well. Now back here is where it is familiar territory for the CR-V on the one hand, with the vertical tail light treatment. You've seen that pretty much from the first generation, but everything else is sort of bulbous. It looks a little too large at the back here, and even the tail light treatment, the fact that it sweeps down and kind of curves around the side here, to me that's a little bit Volvo-like, especially when you see the car on the road, not maybe up front or so close to it. But having said that, it is again bold, and it continues the theme from the front into the back. The tailgate has gotten a lot bigger and deeper as well, which means that when you open it up, it actually opens much lower than before. So access to the boot and loading heavy bags and things like that becomes a little bit easier. So while I established that the previous car was more pretty and this one's more butch, this end of it is still quite pretty, I have to say. It looks very attractive. Car grabs a lot of attention. The top end version, which is the 2.4 automatic, gets chrome door handles, and it's a nice little plastic sill down here that makes it look even more butch, the word I've been using. But come back here, and you know, the previous CR-V had a nice sloping coupe line that went down. With the idea of trying to create a little bit more cabin space, this line has intentionally been kept a little bit straighter, and what you end up getting is well, something that I think Indiana Jones was looking for in the last installment of that franchise, because remember, right through that movie they kept talking about the crystal skull. I think I found it. It's right here. This little bulge back here, I think is a little bit weird. It looks a little incongruous, but otherwise, overall, yes, I like the way the car looks. So yes, on the whole, I like it. Sure, it's not as compact as the last CR-V, nor is it as bulky as the Fortuner. It's got the 4-wheel drive option, but it's still a crossover in some senses. It doesn't have diesel though, yet it has plenty of variants. And the biggest plus for me is the fact that it is now built at the Honda plant in India. But for that reason, I wish it had been a bit cheaper, because a lot of buyers are going to be swayed by the likes of that Toyota Fortuner, or spend a little bit more and go for even an Audi Q3, which means the CR-V will probably remain a niche product. Ironically, at a time when Honda finally started assembling it locally.